I'm just testing out all the soaker hose I just laid down. You can see that the ground is definitely getting saturated. I just turned it on and it's soaking right out through the hose. This is a little T connector that I'm using to make each of the grid systems. So I'm just gonna walk around and make sure every area is getting covered before I do the exciting part and plant some seeds. So I found what I was slightly worried might happen. I left a little gap right here for a walkway. So all of the landscape fabric parts are walkways. We're probably gonna cover them with gravel. But what you can see is on the left side, there's definitely good soaking going on. It's not even been running for 5 full minutes and it's starting to saturate the ground around it. And it connects at that far end to loop back here. What I didn't want was for there to be wet and water right into the walkway. I wanted to have like an entrance to this area. However, when you look at this other side, you can see that the amount of water, probably because of the way the pressure is going with this grid system right now, it's just not nearly as much, which means that this left side will get a lot more water than this right side. And if I was a pro, I could probably use that to my advantage for water loving plants being on this side and more, dry tolerant plants being on this side. But I think what I'm going to do is just connect the drip tubing right here and see if that helps with the flow and the pressure being even across the entire grid. So we'll see. First I'm going to turn off the water. So it's actually the next day and we had a really nice rain last night. The rain drove me indoors, but making that little repair, adding this, really helped with the water flow on this side. It's hard to tell because I just turned it on, but I actually think it's all dispensing at about the same amount. So this is kind of before that bridge. And here's the after. So it's roughly the same. One of the reasons that I decided to lay this soaker hose down, I could totally have just put a sprinkler or, hand water for sure, but we're planning on leaving. And I mean, we aren't home every single day. So if we take a weekend trip or something, I wanted to have this just sort of taken care of and know that the things I'm planting have at least enough water. I did get like a timer as well to make sure that it's not running sort of all the time and saturating everything. So I'll show you guys how I set that up as well. I wanted to show you briefly my plan for when we're out of town. This is a hose faucet timer, and it basically is something that you can set and program for when you're away, and you set the time. It's battery powered, and what's really nice is there's 2 spouts. So the plan is I can control both the cut flower garden as well as this sort of landscape garden on 2 different water flows depending on their need. Also, for your viewing pleasure, we have a couple of baby birds. Actually, I think there's more like 5 of them in there. Let's see if I can get my camera to focus. There they are. So I think there's about 5 of them in there. You're hungry. Little mouth open. Your mama's coming. Don't worry. The mama bird flies in and out of this sunroom doorway, which we keep propped open because once we found her nest, we were like, well, that door's got to stay open, and there's no AC or anything running to this room. We've got a ceiling fan, that's about it. So that's where they're living right now. And actually, this is a pretty safe little room to sort of grow up in. You know, if they fall out of the nest, they're not going to get eaten by an owl immediately. So that's good. Here's the setup. It's quite the configuration. But I wanted to have just a normal hose to use. So this is just normal garden hose hooked up to like one of those thumb regulator faucets. And you can see here that the next start time for this to run is in 32 minutes, and right now it's 7:29 p.m. on a Saturday. There we go, you can see that a little bit better. But yeah, this is a little turn dial. I have it set on auto, but you can set the clock which time you want it to start. So here, if I want to set the clock, the start time, you can choose A, B, and C run time. So there's 3 run times for this one station. So this station right here, which goes to the cut flower garden. And I have it start at 6:30, and I have another one at 8 p.m. And how long? I'm gonna start with 45 minutes. I have no idea. How often? I've got it going Monday through Friday or Saturday. 7 days a week, and you can also do this interval setting here if you want to, which is like every 3 days. You can turn it off, and then auto sets it back to where it is. Now this section is the dripped or soaker hose that I have running throughout sort of this landscape flower bed. So it goes behind these, over by the heuchera, and then it's also going to make sure that this hydrangea stays nice and hydrated. This one's starting to throw up blooms, so really, really exciting. But yeah, there's the setup. Sweet. I thought that I would end the video with something just pretty. So this is the Alnwick Rose by David Austin, and it just has the most beautiful blooms. And I tell you, the best part is when you're walking around and standing around this one, you can smell it, and it smells so good. Like it wafts near you whenever you're planting. And it seriously looks to me like the perfect rose. And this is its second flush. And what I did was, after the first set of blooms, I sprinkled a whole bunch of magnesium in the form of Epsom salts on this plant, and it caused just these huge like clusters at the top of these blooms. So I am just so pleased. I just wanted to talk to you for a moment and let you know just how much I love gardening in Georgia. I'm in Southwest Georgia and in Zone 8, sometimes referred to as an 8B. And I just love it. The growing season is super long. There can be some hot days, but there's no real winter risk or frost all the way until November, and I'm starting flower seeds in June, which is pretty insane. I think a lot of other individuals have been working all spring, and now they're enjoying these flowers, but because of the virus I wasn't able to go and start this garden the way I wanted to, but that's okay, because where I live I just start in June. Anyway, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch these videos, and I hope you're all doing well. Sending my love. Bye, friends.